first thing we'll do is stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We'll have the clerk call the roll, please.
Bierstead?
Here.
Bjork?
Here.
Carroll?
Here.
Downing?
Here.
Morset?
Here.
Miller?
Here.
Odine? Here.
All right. Moving on to the approval of the minutes from the February 25th meeting for the workshop and meeting minutes. All right, Bjork.
I'd like to make a quick amendment. If
We
possible.
need to have a second before we can have discussion. All right. So Bjork was a first, Biersted's a second. Downing, you'd like to discuss? Go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. I was reviewing the minutes on this, and I noticed in our last council meeting, I had made a motion, and in that motion, it was advocating for flexibility in TID law for efforts toward increasing housing affordability and availability, but it says increase, and it's kind of gives, it's not exactly right. It's a clerical error. I'd like to make a motion to change increase to increasing the way I said it.
Second.
Okay, we got a first and a second on the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? All right, all in favor? Oh,
Aye.
roll call vote for. Clerk needs just a second for the roll call vote here.
Downing?
Yes.
Morset?
Yes.
Odine?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Bierstead?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Bjork?
Yes.
All right, now we're back to the original motion. Motion as amended. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. I'll ask the clerk to do a roll call.
Bjork?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Bierstead?
Yes.
Morset?
Yes.
Odine?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Downing?
Yes.
All right. Moving on to the approval of the bills with Councilmember Carroll.
Mayor and Council, I move approval of payment of bills in the amount of $2,237,129.09, subject to comptroller.
Second.
First by Carroll, second by Bierstead. Any discussion? Hearing none. Go ahead, clerk.
Bjork?
Yes.
Odine?
Yes.
Morset?
Yes.
Bierstead?
Yes.
Downing?
Yes.
Carroll?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
All right. Okay, on to public comment. This is the time, if there's anybody who'd like to make a public comment, you can step forward. You have 2 minutes to let us know what your thoughts are, if any. Seeing and hearing no one interested in public comment, we will move on to a presentation from the River Falls Baseball Council, providing us their annual report. And I think we have Dr. Nate Sherman helping us tonight. Looks like he has good support in the audience as well. So I'll turn it over to you, Nate.
That's right. This one. There you go. Well, good evening. My name is Nate Sherman. I'm a member of the River Falls Baseball Council, and during our presentation tonight, I'll refer to that as the RFBC. I'm flanked here by Ryan Bishop, and Greg Peters is also a member of the RFBC, but he's doing some of his newspaper work as well. So I want to thank you, first of all, for taking some time for us this evening. We recognize that there's never a shortage of business for you to entertain. I want you to know as we get going on our presentation today that we're not here seeking a zoning amendment, a license consideration, an ordinance, annexation, anything of that matter. Definitely, we didn't come here tonight asking for money. What we are here for is just to extend our partnership by sharing some information that we think is important for the City Council and any members of the city who might be listening at home or here tonight have. We want to do a better job of telling our story because we know if you don't, someone else will. And oftentimes when that happens, the facts aren't maybe shared the way that they should be. So to that end, we'll take just a few minutes to share a little bit about First National Bank of River Falls Field, a little bit about the history of the field, some of the impact that the field has on our community, and then what's in store for the future. So starting with some background, in 2011, we had some people who were romantic about America's pastime, and we just started discussing the concept of a stadium. And at first, of course, as I'm sure you understand and believe, the baseball stadium was born under the idea of let's provide a place for people to play the game that we all love. But pretty quickly that turned into recognition that the stadium could be much more than just a place to play ball. The RFBC thought that if the stadium was done right, that the First National Bank of River Falls Field could become a gathering place for our boys, our girls, our young men and women, and for all community members to gather over the spring, summer, and fall and enjoy an evening of entertainment at little or no expense. So in other words, we had the Field of Dreams moment. If you build it, they will come. So that happened in 2011. And in 2012, we partnered with the city to lease the land that the field currently sits on. And also we engaged in a construction loan with First National Bank that the city co-signed. And I just want to make a note that our organization has met to this date all of the obligations related to that loan, and we will be able to continue to do so. So no worries on that end for anybody that's listening at home or here tonight. In 2013, construction began, and the stadium opened in 2014. And we lived in that stadium as it was built for about 6 years. And then in 2020, due in large part to a grant from the Major League Baseball Players Association, we received a grant that funded field turf being put into the field, which we think has really expanded the opportunities that the field provides and the impact it has on the city. So transitioning into impact, we're going to look at this in a couple of different ways. First of all, I want to share just some of the opportunities that the field provides. And then I do want to get into just a little bit of financial information that we've been able to investigate and research in terms of the impact on finances in the city. So since we've added field turf, we've greatly expanded the opportunities. We have about 500 events that take place at the ballpark each year. As you would suspect, the vast majority of those are ball games, about 300 games and practices. That includes participants from our youth parks and rec baseball and softball, our youth traveling baseball and softball, high school baseball and softball, and then men's amateur ball. You've probably been to or heard of the River Falls Fighting Fish. We also host a 35 and older, and sometimes even a few of our 50 and older folks get out there and try their hand at the game that they love. In total, we average about 600 people who use the field for ball each year. In addition to those people that are within the city that are utilizing the field, we have about 75 rental games and over 20 rental practices that come to our facility each year. Now, these are people that aren't from the city of River Falls. Often these are college teams that travel from as far as the Dakotas, Bemidji, to find a place where they can play, and also club teams that are in the metro area. Speaking of college ball, we're really excited because starting this year again, for the first time in 24 years, UW River Falls will have a college baseball team, and they will use First National Bank as their home field. So their first game is on March 29th at 1 o'clock. We're excited to host them. And although I don't want to speak in absolutes, we think that it would be highly unlikely to have baseball brought back to River Falls if not for First National Bank of River Falls Field. One of our favorite events that I want to mention that we host each year, and sometimes multiple times a year, is the Challenger League baseball games that we have. These are games for kids and adults with disabilities to get on the field, to play the game that they love, to experience the joy, and it's a field that accommodates their needs in a way that a grass and dirt baseball field definitely could not. In addition to the ball types of events, we host other events at the ballpark, community and nonprofit promotion opportunities, weddings, comedy shows. We hosted Charlie Barron's, who maybe some of you are familiar with, from social media, music concerts, military graduations, high school graduations. Um, Most importantly, we provide a family-friendly environment that people can gather. From a financial perspective, and this is newish research for us, we're obviously paying very careful attention to what's going on, but putting this presentation together caused us to look a little bit deeper. So with about 100 rentals per year, and an average of about 30 participants from each side, we're estimating that we have around 3,000 players, coaches, and trainers who come to our city to utilize that space. And this doesn't include fans. They not only utilize that space, they eat at our restaurants, they fill up their gas tanks at our stations, they stay at our hotels, and they camp at our campgrounds. UWRF, going back to the Falcon baseball team, they have 40 players on their squad. 90 tried out. So it begs the question, how many of those students would be coming to River Falls to live and to invest in our community if it weren't for the baseball opportunity it provided? I know as a former college athlete, that had a lot to do with my decision of where I went to college. So I think that people can relate to that too. In addition, we have High School Legion, high school baseball, the River Falls Fighting Fish, that brings thousands of people to our community each year. So in our study, using the Wisconsin Department of Tourism formula for visitors, we estimate the economic impact to be around $1.3 million each year from visitors who are coming into our community. On top of that, the RFBC invests into our local and regional economy through the purchase of supplies, materials, upgrades, and maintenance. So as you think about what's happened over the course of time in our ballpark with the varied amount of usage that we get, we recognize that the impact is quite significant for people here in town. So what's next? Now that you have a little bit of background on the history and the impact of the stadium, what's next? And I was hoping that the mayor would be here tonight because I wanted to reference that I recently heard a very articulate, knowledgeable, and thoughtful speaker who used the movie Back to the Future to explain the importance of being forward-thinking in decision-making so that the organization he was speaking of left things better than they were found, so that future generations could be proud of the forethought that was put into the decisions and recognize that the foundations of sustainability had been considered and executed. So the RFBC has a similar, shall I call it a Marty McFly mindset, which is why we're moving forward with a plan to replace our dated, and you can see this on the screen, and poorly functioning scoreboard with one that's state-of-the-art, a video scoreboard, which will provide an improved environment for events and a greater financial impact on the city by showcasing our community businesses and further solidifying the sustainability of the field for years to come. The scoreboard will measure 30 by 36 feet, and anchor sponsorships will adorn the perimeter, and ads will be able to be played before the game, in between innings, and after. So some additional research we've done indicates that roughly 12,000 cars pass the field on the highway each day, and 5,000 of them use the exit ramp by the ballpark. So we think that this makes the scoreboard prime real estate for our businesses to make further connections with their patrons and further impact the economy in the city of River Falls. Our scoreboard lease will be paid off in 5 years or less and will create a revenue stream for future upgrades, turf replacement, and continued bill payment. So this is an investment in the future that will provide financial solvency for the ballpark and the River Falls Baseball Council for years to come. So in closing, I just want to thank, first of all, the cadre of volunteers who do all of the behind-the-scenes work to make First National Bank of River Falls Field run. This is an entirely volunteer-based organization, and there's no way that we could be where we are without the dozens of people that support us in that capacity. I'd also like to thank all of you for your time. We're grateful for your support. We look forward to continued partnerships with you as we move forward with this journey, which includes the updated scoreboard. So thank you very much for your time. I'm not sure if this is a forum where questions can be asked, but if it is, we're certainly open to taking those questions from you at this time.
Sure. Anybody got any questions?
I don't know if I have any questions, but I'm a huge baseball guy. But I think the greatest attribute that the stadium has is how it's a community gathering location. I go to the games there, and I think people are lucky if they're watching half of the time of the game, and the other half they're talking to their neighbor there, and they're talking about city politics or talking about our community. And I think that's a big thing that the stadium offers to our community, and I hope it never ends. A couple other things I'd like to say. Nate, I'm afraid when you said something about the bill or the um, um, scoreboard being up there. I think it's a good idea to have the scoreboard there, but you better not be able to see it from the highway, especially if it's flashing. That will be a major issue with the state and so forth. So we're not going to.
Ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a sign ordinance on there. So we got to be real careful with how that's proposed or how that's done. But I think it makes for revenue sense. It makes great sense to get that on there. And you said you'd pay it off for 5 years. I'd be surprised if it wasn't earlier. So it's what, maybe $40,000 for the project. So it won't take that long to pay it back. One other thing I have to ask is UW River Falls, for all their sports, they have an admission charge. What's going to happen at the baseball field?
The university will take care of that on their end. They will charge an admission just like they do for all their sports.
They will.
And
So
they will take care of that on their end. That is not a River Falls Baseball Council thing. That's a University of Wisconsin.
okay. So now the community field, in a sense, will be lost during those games. There'll be a University of Wisconsin River Falls field, and it won't be the city community field anymore.
Yeah, there'll be an opportunity for the community to come and watch the game, but there will be
price.
there will be a price to that. I guess similar to if some of the fish playoff games, Legion State tournament that we'll be hosting next year, things like that, where you're kind of required to charge an admission fee for some of those things. So WIA playoffs, but
Yep.
that's a university thing.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's too bad, but okay. That's it from my end.
Council President?
Go ahead.
I appreciate everything you do. I think it's great work. I just wanted to say real quick, as you look forward to following the sign ordinances, do you guys have contact information if people or other organizations want to partner with you? That's available?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Perfect. Could you share it today or is?
Yes. Do you want to share it
Yeah, go ahead.
right now? So like a contact just for the River Falls for the website. Yep. Our general River Falls Baseball Council email address is just like it sounds, riverfallsbaseballcouncil@gmail.com. And as we put together a sponsorship packet of sorts for this, we'll have a contact information on that in that packet as well.
Perfect. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anybody else? I want to recognize a couple of things. I came off the bypass this afternoon and there was kids on the field. That kind of made me feel good about spring coming and everything else. I also want to thank you guys I'm involved in 2 nonprofits in town, and the nonprofit nights that you have where the nonprofit gets to run the concession and the 50/50 and shares and some of that, that's a big boost. So I appreciate that with my 2 other hats that I wear as well. So it's a great asset for the community, and it was never a doubt that it was going to be successful, but I didn't think it would be this successful. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your partnership.
Council members on the phone, or do either of you have any comments or questions?
No, just thank you.
Mr. Carroll, you were going to say something?
Oh, I said, no, just thank you for everyone's time.
Okay, great. Thanks again. All right. So next, we are going to move into a public hearing for our MS4 permit. So I will close the council meeting and open a public hearing. Planning Engineering Tech, Tyler Gollad will be providing a presentation of the annual report Any questions or comments from anyone else that will come after? So we'll get that from Tyler, and then we'll get questions from him after his presentation.
Okay, good evening, council members. My name is Tyler Galdi, and I'm a planning and engineering technician. And this evening, I'm going to be talking to you about our MS4 Stormwater Permit 2024 Annual Report. So MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. And what that essentially means is sewage goes into a different pipe under the ground than stormwater. And the MS4 permit was created under the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System by the EPA, which is now administered by state organizations. As like for us, it's the DNR. And the main goal of the MS4 permit is to reduce sediment and pollutants from entering state waters like the Kinney. There are about 245 cities in Wisconsin permitted with an MS4, and all of those cities they're located within a federally designated urbanized area, population of 10,000 or greater, or otherwise designated by NR 216. Last year was a busy year for development in the city. We had 11 active construction sites, 1 acre or greater, and we performed 78 individual construction site inspections looking for sediment and erosion control issues. Staff inspects every active construction site once a month and after every rainfall of a ½ inch or greater. And here are a few examples of things that we're looking for on inspections. On the left, you can see sediment in a stormwater pond. This is caused by lack of sediment control on a site. In the middle there's destroyed silt fence, so that's something that we would need them to get fixed up in order to keep sediment from moving off site. And on the right, you can see a construction site that just has poor housekeeping. There's trash and debris all over the place. Every year, staff does a lot of different things in order to maintain compliance with our MS4 permit. And here's a little snapshot of some of those things that we do. We had 0 illicit discharges reported to the DNR last year. We performed 31 outfall inspections, and on those we're looking for evidence of illicit discharges or any maintenance that needs to be done on those outfalls. We looked at 66 of our stormwater ponds, also looking for erosion, any illicit discharges, overgrowth of weeds that need to be cleaned up. Our public works staff looked at 457 storm sewer structures in the city, mostly manholes or catch basins in the curbs, and they found 25 things that needed to be repaired. We're also going to be submitting our annual report to the DNR. This meeting helps us meet one of those requirements of our MS4 as well. And again, a couple of examples. On the left, you can see an outfall that's really overgrown. So this is something that we would have Public Works go and mow down a little bit, clean it up. And on the right, so we received a call from a resident that said there was a vehicle leaking something into the curb and onto the street. So we went out to take a look at it, and we noticed that there was a lot of coolant leaking out of this vehicle going right down the curb. And without that resident's phone call, this would have gone into our storm sewer systems and could have caused issues. So with this, I would say if you see something that's in the curb running down the street that you think maybe shouldn't be there, just give us a call. It's easy enough for us to go take a peek at it, and we can prevent things like this from going into our storm sewers. And finally, we have a few quick major stormwater project updates. We're working with a FEMA and the Wisconsin Emergency Management Grant in order to model our Hoffman Basin watershed. We're using this to identify solutions to mitigate flooding, as well as study the downstream effects of the Hoffman Park Master Plan. This modeling is projected to be completed this summer. We're working with a grant from the Wisconsin DNR to update our citywide stormwater quality modeling. We're doing this in order to help us identify potential future projects to help us maintain MS4 compliance. And then this modeling is scheduled to be done in 2025 as well. And finally, our MS4s run on 5-year permit terms. Last year, when we submit our annual report, we applied for a new permit, and they take a while to get back from the DNR. And so we're anticipating that our new permit will be given to us this year sometime. It's hard because we don't know exactly when, but we are covered under our previous MS4 permit until we receive that one. Thank you.
Okay. Before we close out of the public hearing, is there anybody in the public who has any questions or wants to ask anything about this while we're in the public hearing? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing, reopen the council meeting, and before we have any discussion, can we get a motion to approve? Do we need a motion on it? Yeah, it's a resolution. We need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, we'll do, okay, any discussion?
I'd like to ask something, of course, obvious, I always do.
Yep.
What do we do for policing issues, Tyler? If there is an issue, like the picture you showed with the bad maintenance behind that,
Mhm.
do we shut them down and say, you're done until this gets cleaned up, or what's our policy on policing that?
Yeah, so when I go out and do inspections, I have an inspection sheet, and in that I will take pictures and write down specific issues, and then I will send that to my contact for the site, whether it's a project supervisor or developer, whomever it is, and I'll work with them to get those issues remedied. Typically they have 24 hours to get those things solved, and typically they are solved pretty quickly. If they are not resolved, we can move to citations for those issues because they are important.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Downing, you had a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, cities have room for improving their connections with the people they serve. And although we're meeting the permit requirements, I think it's really important that we have a welcoming process where we invite our community to be part of identifying illicit discharge, maintenance needs, and concerns. I'd like to work towards, in the future, reaching out, whether it's working with the mayor in his newsletter, working in different prints that we do so people know that they're welcome to be part of this, and that if they have concerns, to actually bring them to us so we can see them in our review process and be part of that solution as a community. Thanks, Tyler.
Ms. Mueller or Mr. Carroll, do you have anything?
Nothing for me, Council President.
Okay.
Me either,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you. I've got two comments, a little bit on what Councilmember Downing was saying. I say this every year, but we have 125 ponds. We only have like 80, I was looking for the number. It's either 80 or 85, Tyler, you can, that are adopted.
We have less
Somewhere.
than that now.
We have less than that now?
Yes.
So one of the ways people can get involved is to adopt a pond, just like you adopt part of a highway, pick up the streets, adopt a pond. So that's one of them. The other question I've got, I know that we also do the university's MS4 permit for them. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I would assume they had similar ratings. Did theirs come out? Because we're trying to prevent stuff going into our same watershed.
Yeah.
How'd they do?
I don't know, Todd.
They're
Yeah.
compliant. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all that we need to hear.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Go
I
ahead,
have
Mr.
something now
Rick.
on top of what you just said, Mr. Morissette. When an individual or family adopts a pond, what does that entail? What besides,
Ask him.
What does it mean? I mean, I put my name on a big deal, but what do you have to do?
So if residents want to adopt a pond, we have a pretty new website a webpage that we put together last year. It's on our city website under Adopt a Pond. And what you do is you sign up, you pick a pond that's in your neighborhood. You can pick a couple, or maybe there's just a pond that you like to go walk around. If it's adoptable, you could do that. And what it entails is 2 cleanups a year and sending us a report. So we have them a list of things that they'll look for: if there's animal burrows, if there's bird houses that need to be repaired, if there's trees growing into these ponds. And we can get those reports over to Public Works staff, and they can go resolve some of those issues.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Be great if we get more ponds adopted. That's a great thing. Anything else? Before we ask the clerk for a roll call vote, please.
Perfect. Downing,
Yes.
Odine. Yes. Bjork,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Bierstadt,
Yes.
Morset,
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
There we go. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. Item 4 is a resolution awarding the bids for 2025 and 2026 sanitary lining project. Item number 5 is a resolution referring an annexation petition for the property at 53 Woodridge Drive and 555 Powell Avenue to the Plan Commission for their action. Number 6 is a change of agent for Nutty Squirrel Sports Saloon. Number 7 is a resolution approving the fee schedule for the park and rec, for recreation and pool activities. What's your pleasure? I'm gonna pull number 6.
Then I will move to approve items 4, 5, and 7.
Second.
All right, so we got Odine on first and Bierstead second. All right, clerk, could I have a roll call, please, on those?
Carol,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Morset,
Yes.
Bierstadt,
Yes.
Odine,
Yes.
Bjork.
Yes.
Okay, I pulled number 6, which is the change of agent for Nutty Squirrel. Ms. Elm has graciously come forward. I will ask her my 3 basic questions. Do you understand the role of an agent?
I do.
Do you understand, do you possess a responsible servers certification?
I do.
And do you understand that if an alcohol-related violation occurs, even if you're not there, you are responsible?
I understand that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. With that, I will move approval of number 6, change of agent for Nutty Squirrel.
Second.
So first by Morset, second by Bjork, and we'll have a roll call.
Odine,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Morset,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Bjork,
Yes.
Bierstadt.
Yes.
All right. Just eating this up. All right. Next, we're on to reports. We'll ask Ms. Odine to give us a comptroller's report.
Okay, the comptroller's report for February 2025. General fund revenues through the end of February were $3,530,362, or 26% of total budgeted revenues for the year. Revenues in February included $102,100 in building permits and $9,600 in vehicle registration fees. Expenditures through the end of February were $1,722,990, or 13% of total budgeted expenditures for the year. So as of February 28th, 2025, net revenues over expenditures were $1,807,372.
Outstanding. Okay. Next, we'll move on to the administrator's report. We have anything from the administrators?
I just have a couple
area?
things. I'm happy to be here this evening and want to let folks know that March is Women's History Month, and the community is celebrating by having displays at local businesses. So hopefully folks can get out and celebrate women throughout history. The other thing is the leprechaun hunt and the potato soup crawl this weekend. So I hope folks get out and have fun and be safe.
Great.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for the administrators?
No questions, but.
All right.
I do want to add one more thing for events coming up. And the last weekend of March, the University of here is hosting the Women's National Hockey Tournament Championship.
Okay.
So that's a big deal. So there'll be people from all over the country coming in for that. So let's continue to have our bright, shining faces and a nice, clean town and welcome these people into River Falls on that weekend.
Very good. With that,
Move to adjourn.
Mr. Bierstedt motions,
Second.
Odine seconds, roll call vote, please.
Bierstead,
Yes.
Bjork,
Yes.
Caro,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Morset,
Yes,
Miller,
Yes.
Odine.
Yes.
we stand adjourned.